because when I got here, I used the other gate. There's a gate the other side from it's the only time I've been to Chambo. So it's the only one that so somehow I had to move from the other side to get here. That's why we are late a little bit. Otherwise, we have started already. I don't know if I've met anyone of you. Does anyone of you know from anywhere? Of course, besides this. Anyone? Okay. There's a likelihood that I could even have one of you. Of course, maybe other people I don't know around, but there are some of my students. There's someone else where I do some teaching when it comes to this stuff. But it's nice that I'm having this opportunity to talk to you. I think this is the best time for us to have this talk. Not tomorrow, not any other day, but now, because a few years back, what you could call the world was operating in a completely different way than the way things are working out right now. And I think in the next few years, we are more likely going to see a lot of change, but that change that we're going to see is mainly going to be driven by AI. There's a lot of discussion about AI, and I hope that by the end of this discussion that we shall have for the next 1 hour or something, we'll at least position ourselves to be able to go ahead and exploit the resource that AI is, because you guys are computing students, right? So you know a thing or two about writing code, you know a thing or two about a lot of stuff when it comes to code and stuff, but we may even get to a point where we don't even have to be able to just write code, but just help machines to think, because that's where we are going, that's the direction that we are taking. I don't think there is anyone in this room that does not have a chatbot of AI. Anyone? A chatbot, I mean something like ChatGPT, those apps that we have on the phone. I don't think anyone of us here, at least someone has one. Personally, if you check my phone, you may find there are like 6 of them. You get 6 of them, and I use them on a daily basis. I have got Gemini, I have got ChatGPT, there's Cloud, there is DeepSeek. There are very many, and it is not something that any one of us should actually not try to deliver, because at the end of the day, AI is here to stay. I always joke with people and I tell them that 30 years ago, the internet was still a myth. The internet was still a myth. No one knew that we could have a level of connectivity that we see right now, where you can just sit on your machine, your phone, and then you talk to someone that is thousands of kilometers away in the US. Are we together? That was all in me. But right now, as we speak, I don't think we can imagine a world where there is no connectivity that is as great as this connectivity that we have. So that's how technology changes. And now we are in the era of AI. Anything can happen. And you can be an active participant in this era by contributing. So I hope that this discussion at least ignites some element of interest. I'm not sure the interest is there, but it would ignite it and it becomes even much more. So I'm going to open my slide presentation, but as I open it, I would like to ask a question. What are some of the common ways we use AI? Or in what ways do we usually interact with AI? That's open to you. You can give some responses. What are some of the easiest ways or the most obvious ways that we find ourselves using AI? clear enough. Yeah, I hope it is clear enough. So, my question again, what are some of the common ways that you interact with AI on a daily basis? Besides the chatbot of you going to ChatGPT and asking it about what's one. What are some of the other common ways that you interact with AI? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Maybe that question is a little abstract. Let me ask another question. What do you understand when someone mentions what comes to your mind? If someone comes and says AI, artificial intelligence, how do you imagine it? What comes to your mind when someone mentions AI? You guys, I know there's something that you're thinking. Please share with us. It's open. It's not supposed to be a straightforward. It's not a case of a correct answer or what, but I just want to see your understanding of that terminology there known as AI. Anyone? Yes.
Okay, this is the topic of AI.
Yeah.
When I hear AI, I think of computer systems that carry out tasks that need human intelligence.
Yes. Let's simply say a system, a computerized system that is able to have the intelligence that you can only find in humans, right? So what is this thing that you call intelligence? What is that thing that you call intelligence? Do I have anyone here who has ever done biology at A-level? Biology first one or A-level? Maybe there is. Because it's a little bit funny when we talk about the word intelligence. How can you quantify intelligence? That when you see something, you can say, oh, this is intelligent, then this is not intelligent. Because when we are able to understand what intelligence means, then we can go ahead and try and see how such intelligence can be replicated in computer systems. Right? So, what is this thing called intelligence? Let's just make random answers. Yes. When? Critical thinking. Yeah? An idea. Critical thinking. You mean something about reasoning. Yeah? Reasoning. There's a problem, they give you a problem, then you are able to reason out the problem and maybe give an answer, right? It could be a question. It could be by the simple question. For example, that's a very good answer. Let's say someone asks you, give me directions to the main gate, right? And you give them directions, but they've never been to Jambo, right? Now, they based on the information you've given them to process and reason, as they move around, they will be able to locate the main gate. Not because you showed them pictures of the main gate, but because from the words that you gave them, they are able to process those words, right? And make a certain conclusion. So as when they try and match that conclusion with their reality, then they can move and identify the main gate. I think that's what you're trying to mean with reasoning. You get? Thank you for that submission. Anyone else? How do you think human intelligence or intelligence can be measured? If we can only understand that word intelligence and computer systems, of course we know computing. So that's not something you could even know in computing much more than me, you know. But our most important part here is to understand the intelligence bit. Then we can see how it actually becomes important. Yes, gentlemen.
I think it can be about interpretation of data. Like the way that you filter certain amounts of data and then make a conclusion. Like how you could say a machine can notice a person, and between seeing that she has these components, it concludes that that's a girl, and that's how it treats girls. That ability to query and interpret data. I think it factors in what we perceive as intelligence.
Thank you. What he's saying is very good. It is very correct. He's saying ability to do what we call pattern recognition. So what is pattern recognition? Pattern recognition will tell me that if I get into this room, I'm sorry, I'm not stereotyping, but if I get into this room and you ask me to identify a lady, in my experience with ladies, the ones I've grown up with, my sisters, my mother, my aunties, my grandmothers, and every other lady that I've met, it will be easy for me to identify who the lady is in this room. Would it be hard? Would it be hard? If I pointed out and I said she's a lady, right now, I know it's a little bit funny these days. You can never be so sure because of Western civilization. People these days have to identify. But at least going by the biological identification of male and female, not this gender stuff, but male and female, I can easily identify a male person and a female person in this room. Now we call that pattern recognition. Pattern recognition. Let me ask you, you think a cow can be able to tell if I brought it here? You think a cow can be able to tell between a male and a female? It doesn't, right? Because it doesn't have, let me call it the CPU, the brain to process that. But humans have that ability of doing pattern recognition. Pattern recognition, like, oh, if I see this, then I know so and so. Are we together? Pattern recognition is an important part of intelligence. The same way reasoning is. Are we together? We may not ponder so much on this, but at least these two answers that have been given to us can be enough for us to build on in understanding of what the I is. Are we together? Yeah. Now, from everything that has been shared, I don't know, introduce myself. I did. Yeah, let me start with that because I think this slide gives me out. I'm Lama. I'm a guy who is interested in AI. Yeah, simple as that. That's how I define myself. Why am I interested in AI? Because I think one problem we've had in Africa for all the industrial revolutions that have been happening, one problem we've had is we've never been active builders in any of the industrial revolutions. When we had the machines coming up, and I don't mean these machines, there is a time when we had machines that do this work in industries, like steam rollers, all those machines. Let's just mention an example of tractors. In that industrial revolution, Africa was still building hunters and grooming ladies to cook food when the Western world was already doing what? Building machines, you get? We had another industrial revolution of the internet, worldwide communication, WWW. It came, the World Wide Web, and somehow most of the millionaires, not even millionaires, most of these billionaires that we know, most of them have built their wealth based on that, because the Bill Gates are the guys that decided to start building software, are we together, to use and build all that kind of infrastructure. And they are billionaires. Africa was still sleeping. Social media came, connectivity. The Mark Zuckerbergs and all those other guys, the Jack Dorsey's, they build social media. We are able to do what? To use social media. I don't think there is any social media app that has been built by an African. If it is there, maybe it is used, But at a large scale, at a frontier level, worldwide level, we've not done that. And now we are in the AI era. Trust me, AI is going to take over. You've heard that joke that AI is going to take your jobs. Unfortunately, for you, you've not yet graduated. So you don't know which jobs it's going to take. It's going to replace you before you even do what? Before you graduate. That's what the job means. Of course, we shall go into all those details to see the ability of that to take place. But my point here being, I'm a guy interested in AI because I believe the next generation of billionaires are going to be AI billionaires. Unless you don't want to become one. But if you want to become one, the earlier